Hello everybody, welcome to Global Cajon. I hope you find this chapter interesting. Enjoy! Okay, a very important part of the set once you make a bigger cajon set are the cymbals. The cymbals are a very unique type of instrument and we need to know how to use them correctly. So I want to talk a little bit about the different cymbals that we have and how to use them right. The first cymbal that I want to talk about is the crash cymbal, this one over here, okay? Most of the times that we use a crash cymbal, we want a climax type of effect. The beginning of a section, or you are putting some kicks with the band. You need a psh type of feeling. I think a crash cymbal is very similar to a firework, you know? It's similar in lots of ways. One of them is that it doesn't really work unless it has a deep, heavy sound at the same time. Imagine a firework like this. Just the light. It doesn't give the feeling that we're looking for. You need the you need a strong sound at the same time as the light, okay? So when we play, remember that analogy with the firework, because we need a bass, or not only a bass, could be a high note, but most of the times a bass note along with the crash, so it sounds like we want. Okay, so it's psh, not just tss, okay? That's the first way in which a crash cymbal is similar to a firework. The second way that I think it's similar is that if you use it a lot, it loses the impact. We have been in, festivities with fireworks, and the moment where, with lots of fireworks, that happens only at the end. Okay? Remember this when you are playing a crash cymbal, because if you use it a lot, it loses effectiveness. We want people to feel what we want to say when you, to give it a meaning, you need to use it only when it's required. The same thing as a firework, all right? So we are going to see a few patterns in which I play a crash and I do it playing at the same time a bass note. So it has this impact, the high frequency and the low one together. Okay? Check it out. The technique that I suggest to play a crash cymbal, to crash a cymbal, is what I call the whip. So you remember. It's like a pass, like a whip. Why is that? Because instead of putting your hand up and down, that's like the intuitive way, I suggest doing just a one motion thing. if you are playing your cajon and you are down here, to play a crash from above, you have to put your hand up and then down. And doing that fast, you could hurt yourself. And it's slower and it requires more energy. Instead of doing that, if you go like this, then it's just a motion, one move. You get quicker to the cymbal and you don't hurt yourself because you have to go up and down. Look. Okay, have it in mind. It's like this. And you don't hurt yourself. You get used to it. For slow things, of course, you can go like this. But when you're in the middle of the battle, you need something that, goes fast once you think it. So I suggest training, do it slow until it comes naturally. The second type of cymbal I want to talk about, probably the most important cymbal in the set, is the right cymbal. It's the most important cymbal because it's the one that really is involved in the pattern, in the machinery of grooving. A crash is something that you use eventually to highlight a moment, but it's not part of the groove. A ride is part of the groove. It's hard to change your mindset from playing cajon with both hands or any other percussion instruments to open the set and put it right, because the concept is completely new. When you put a right cymbal, one of the hands is writing with a stick most of the times, so you have to reduce the pattern that you were doing with two hands now to do it with your weak hand. This is completely a new thing, and it requires a completely new training. I'm going to let you know how I train myself with this and a few tips to start working on your independence, because you have to do something with your right hand or your strong hand while the other hand is doing the complete pattern, bass and high notes. Okay? Let's see how this could be trained. Okay, how do we start training our independence and coordination with the right cymbal and the grooving hand? Let's take a simple pattern, or not that simple. You decide. It could be any pattern. And what we have to do on our writing cymbal is first quarter notes, ping, 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 while we groove with our weak hand. Then the upbeats of the quarter note, chip, 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 okay? Then eighth note, chip, 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 chip. The upbeats of the eighth note, chip, 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 okay? And then 16th note, chip, 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 chip. All right? You decide what pattern to do. I'm going to suggest two patterns. A pretty basic one to start with, something like boom, cha, boom, cha, boom, cha, boom, cha, okay? And then a little more syncopated pattern, like for example, boom, cha, boom, cha, boom, pa, boom, cha, boom. Okay, remember, quarter note, upbeats, eighth notes, upbeats, and 16th notes. One, two, three, four. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, and. Something that we want to be able to do when we play 16 notes on the right or hi-hat is accent every other note. Instead of playing tin 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 all at the same level, that we should be able to do that. Also, we have to be able to play tin 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 tin. It's much more organic. It's like a shaker, much more organic than. Okay. So when we play 16th notes, remember to try tin 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 tin. Okay. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, and. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, and. 'Another concept to help you train your independence with the right is the opposite. Is doing a difficult pattern on your right hand, for example, the cascara. Let's use that example. And then is the weak hand the one that has to play quarter notes, upbeats, eighth notes, upbeats, 16th notes. Okay, now this is the complex pattern, and this is the one that has to train on top of it. After doing this for a while, you will notice that suddenly you can put an accent with this weak hand anywhere in the bar because you already trained all the possibilities, and then you start improvising. Then you start being free. You have this hand doing whatever you need while this hand doesn't stop doing the pattern that you want. In this case, let's train it with the cascara. One, two, three, four. One, two, three, four. One, two, three, four. Four. One, two, three, four. A very good exercise to train our capacities with independence, with our right in our strong hand and the pattern on our weak hand, is playing all the combinations of 3/16 notes that we have per beat. This exercise is also great because it's very close to a real musical situation. In many occasions, I'm playing 3/4/1, 3/4/1, 3/4/1 when I'm playing with a band or recording. That's a very, very common way of comping on the right. So this exercise, I love it because it's really close to a real playing situation. One, two, three, four. Also, 1 2 3 1 2 3 1 2 3 is very common to play the upbeats. And the hardest one probably is 2 3 4 2 3 4 because we are skipping the one. 2 3 4 2 3 4 2 3 4 2 3 4 2 3 4 2 3 4 2 3 4. Okay, let's check it out. At last, we are going to play a very common ostinato, very common pattern on the right, like tink, 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 okay? And as always, on our weak hand, we play the pattern we want. The goal for this is not only playing this specific pattern, of course, but to gain freedom with your weak hand and be able to improvise while the strong hand goes tink, 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 tink. Okay? Take a look. 2 3 4. Okay, the formula to train this is put the ostinato on your right first and put your weak hand to rest for a while. Ching, ching, for example, 3 4 1, 3 4 1. Okay? Once you are comfortable with that, start putting the pattern with the first note, the downbeat on one. Boom, ping, ping, ping. Boom. Let's do that. 3 and. Okay, once you are comfortable with that, let's put the backbeats on 2 and 4. Boom, pat, pat, boom, pat. 3 and. Okay, the trickiest part, probably for most of you, is that syncopated note here. Boom, pat, boom, boom, pat. You know, that 4th, 16th note. Boom, pat, boom, boom, pat. Okay, let's focus on that. 3 and. If you have a hard time with any specific note, for example with this one, do it by itself. Do a zoom to that note. Don't play anything else of the pattern, just that note. For example, 3 and. 1. So remember, the way of learning these things is putting the pattern on the right first, being comfortable with that, and then little by little start putting the pattern. Not the other way around. It's not a good idea to start with the pattern and try to put the ostinato on the right. That's not going to work. It's better if you feel the groove first on the right and then start putting the notes. If you're fine with putting the pattern at the first try, it's perfect. If not, take it easy. First note, second note, zoom in the note that you have a problem with, and suddenly you will be playing the whole complete pattern. Okay, now let's continue working our independent skills, but now on 6/8. On the right, we are going to play an ostinato that is very common, bembe cascara, let's say. Ting, 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 ting. Okay? On our weak hand, we are going to train the 3 different combinations of 2 notes that we have in the triplet. Our goal is, again, to be at one point free completely with this hand to improvise, while the right hand, the strong hand, continues always with the same pattern. Check it out. 1, 2, 3, 4. 3, 4. Three, four. A fun exercise to practice your independence is putting the specific pattern on the right that you want to train and play the melody of a well-known song with your weak hand, whatever. I was thinking of Blame It on the Boogie, for example. It's kind of a tricky one to make you understand what I mean. Okay, so 1, 2. The third type of cymbal that I want to talk about in a minimum set with cymbals is the hi-hat. We've already talked a little bit about it and we've used it already in many examples. So just a few tips. Give it a thought to what you are doing with the hi-hat, because sometimes you don't really need same subdivision as in the right. It's not a rule, but most of the times I think it works better if hi-hat and right are not in the same subdivision. For example, if you are doing 16 notes on the right, it's good if the hi-hat is quarter notes or eighth notes. You don't need both at the same time. Or the opposite, if the right is doing quarter notes, maybe it's a good time to have a eighth note subdivision on the hi-hat. It's not a rule. Sometimes it's great if they sound together, but most of the times it's great if you have like 2 layers, you know, 2 different subdivisions, and you perceive both things better. So at least give it a thought before just putting subdivision by default. Think about what helps the music more. One last comment about the hi-hat. The hi-hat, mostly in acoustic sets, it gives you the possibility of playing as backbeats, or like an element for solos. So it's not only a tool that you use with your foot, you can also do other things. I'm just going to play a little bit of improvisation and groove so you see what I mean. Well, I hope you enjoyed this chapter. You can find many other chapters of the Global Cajon method in my YouTube channel. Also in my website or Facebook, you can find the index to see all the chapters. See you around. Adios.